I value my work, but I don't define myself by it. When I work, I do excellent work, and when I am home, I am immersed there. Rebecca Diaz Borrella said that once. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Moving Forward Podcast, episode 21, How to Strike the Balance. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Moving Forward Podcast. If this is your first time listening, I'd like to say hello to you. I am Scott McCarthy. I'm the host and founder of the Moving Forward Leadership Podcast. And this podcast is all about bringing real basic and tactile leadership tips and advice so that you can help yourself on a daily basis, whether you're leading a team of just yourself or you're leading a multinational organization. Today's episode, I'm going to be talking about striking the balance between home and work life, okay? And there's a lot of talk about that going on right now, and I'll go into the reasons why behind that later on. Today's episode is all about by myself. Every now and then I do bring guests on interview shows. I am working on a few more guests. However, today it's going to be me, myself, and that's pretty much it. A few things I'd like to highlight to you before I dive into is that I am always open and willing for questions, suggestions, topics that you're looking for. In fact, this topic was actually suggested to me. Someone asked me about it. So if you feel like you have a question or if you want to suggest a topic for me to go into for the podcast because you have a specific interest in it or you have some questions behind it, such as the person did for this one, then you can reach me by two ways. You can either email me at scott@movingforwardleadership.com or you can follow me on Twitter. And my Twitter handle is MFL, as in Moving Forward Leadership, _podcast. And there, just follow me. You can shoot me a tweet. If I find you interesting or not, maybe I'll follow you back and we can have a direct conversation. No, of course not. If you follow me, then I will do the same and follow you back. So feel free to one of those two ways. If you have any questions, you have suggestions, you want to reach out, say hello, say, hey, I like the podcast. I think it's doing great. In fact, dovetailing into my next point is, if you find the podcast is great and it helps you and you enjoy listening to it, because there are a few thousand of you out there that are listening to this, which is still mind-blowing, then what you should do is swing by your local iTunes or Google Play Music, wherever you're consuming this podcast, and leave me a rating or review. And what that's doing is giving the podcast more exposure so that more people may find it and listen to it and then think it's, open up their doors and eyes as well to what I'm actually providing to them. So just think about that. If you don't mind, just it takes 30 seconds literally. I do it for all the podcasts that I listen to and that I find that are great out there. So I'm hoping that you would do it for me as well. As I'm recording this episode, my monthly newsletter has just been gone out. And if you haven't received it, that's probably because you're not signed up to it. All right. So what you need to do is just go to the movingforwardleadership.com, the website. And at the top right corner, you'll see join my monthly newsletter. And all this is it's a monthly newsletter from myself. I talk a little bit about what I'm doing behind the scenes on the Moving Forward Leadership podcast, as well as what's upcoming, previous episodes of the podcast, the episodes I've recorded the past month, various resources and stuff like that out there for you. And then finally, some news articles that I found interesting regarding leadership. It's not going to fill in your inbox. It's not going to be spamming you. I'm not selling your email address unlike a number of other places out there. It's simply just another format to communicate with yourself. So, if that sounds interesting, again, just swing by movingforwardleadership.com and you'll see the sign up there. Before, check your spam too, because there is a confirmation requirement. I actually have to confirm everybody that yes, you did in fact sign up for this, and that you wanna listen or read what I'm giving to you. And the final thing I'd like to go into today is the Moving Forward Leadership Mastermind. Privileged known as the Moving Forward Leadership Facebook group. I'm referring to it now as the mastermind. And a mastermind, if you're not sure what a mastermind is, is when two or more people come together to discuss issues and find solutions to issues. All right, and this is exactly what the Moving Forward Leadership Mastermind is all about. There's no fees to get in there. You can sign up. The only thing I ask is that I got a few questions there I'd like for you to answer to get in before I allow you in, and then come in and discuss leadership to your heart's delight. Believe it or not, I even invite all of my guest speakers, everybody who's been on an interview show, I invite them into the mastermind so that all of you listeners out there have a platform that you can go ahead and listen, interact with the guests of the show, which is something you don't find anywhere else. And then finally, I like to highlight the fact that, which I've already said, was that it's completely free. A lot of other masterminds out there are charging a ridiculous amount of money for building a community. One, for example, charges $450 US per month to be part of that mastermind. I'm doing this for free because I believe truly that there needs to be a free community out there for people to discuss leadership topics, somewhere where they can go and look for advice, give advice, interact with others, so on and so forth. I'm in there. They're daily posting either articles. One thing that you don't get by not being part of the mastermind is my Facebook Live videos where I do various leadership thoughts. So if I have a leadership thought, something that's in my mind, I'll do a quick Facebook Live video, Vice doing a podcast on it. And you're completely missing out on those if you're not part of the mastermind. So, that's enough of that. How do you sign up? Simple. Facebook.com/group/Moving Forward Leadership. Or just go to the Facebook bar and search Moving Forward Leadership Mastermind. Or you just go to the show notes. And that is movingforwardleadership.com/podcast/balance. All right, let's dive into the show, the nuts and bolts of the show today. So, why do we need a work-life balance? Why is that required? The fact of the matter is, work and life, and when I say life, I mean your home life. And that could be you yourself, it could be you and your family, or your spouse, if you have one, or girlfriend, boyfriend, etc., your parents. It could be, if you have a family like myself, wife, kids, etc. Whatever your family situation is, work and life are intertwined. It is impossible to separate the two. I don't care what you say, it's absolutely impossible. I do my best to do so. I do my best to make sure work issues stay at work, and then life issues stay away from work, and they stay in the life context. But there are times when it's impossible to keep the two separated, and they do spill into each other. So you have to find a balance. You have to be able to find a way to say, okay, work, you need to take a back seat right now because my life, I need to take care of this situation. All right? And that in turn will help you down the line. Why? Because if you're not bringing life stress to work, that means you're going to be clear, your consciousness is going to be clear, your mind's going to be clear, the ability to focus on the work issues that may cause you stress. And vice versa. If you have work issues, you can easily bring them home and they become life stressors because the both of them are intertwined. We work for a number of reasons, but the primary reason we work is because we want to be able to provide for ourselves and our families. And if you are stressed that may not be able to transpire anymore, i.e. you may lose your job because of whatever reason, of course you're going to bring that home. So we need to find a way to balance it out, okay? And as leaders, you need to be able to find a way to not only balance it for yourself, but you also need to find a way to be able to balance it for your people. Because keep in mind, I've said this I don't know countless times, but your people are the people who do your work for you. They're the ones that in the end are achieving your organization's objectives, whether that's sales, marketing, bringing in new subscriptions, etc., etc., etc. they're the ones that are achieving the objectives for you. You're the one that is going out and setting the objectives, enabling them, all right? But they are the ones that are doing it for you. So you got to keep in mind that when their life and work start spilling into each other, it's also your problem. So how can you instill a work-life balance in your organization for your people? So the first thing I talk about is for your people. And I have 4 different ways which you can do that. Practical ways which you can turn around tomorrow, today, whenever you're listening to this podcast, and instill this in your organization and immediately see some results. The first thing is flexible hours, okay? And this is critically important for those who work the daily grind. And I'm talking the Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. So why are flexible hours important? Because life happens Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Ever try to get a repairman into your house on a weekend? It's almost impossible. Ever try to get your driver's license renewed on a weekend or an evening? Almost impossible. Etc., etc., etc. Think about all the various businesses outside of retail that you need to interact with that are open outside of Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Right. Everybody just probably heard crickets because there's almost none. We're starting to see a little bit more. We're starting to see a little bit better in the banking industry. Yeah, there's some extended hours, some are open on weekends and so on and so forth. But generally they come with reduced services. You just have a couple people, maybe the tellers are open, you get access to the ATMs and so on and so forth. But the wholehearted services are not there. So in order to support your people, what you need to do is enable them to have occasionally, I'm not saying all the time, but occasionally have flexible hours. Allow them to leave, a touch early. Show up a touch late once every now and then. Okay? Allow them to go away in the middle of the day, come back a little bit later. Maybe they'll pick up the hour that they're missing, so on and so forth. Because what they're doing is they're going and taking care of their life, because when they're working, everybody else that they need to deal with is working as well, as I said. So think about it. How can you go ahead and incorporate flexible hours in your organization to allow your people to quickly run out, take care of something, and then come back and do what they need to do, or show up later or leave a touch earlier? Okay? Flexible hours, again, will help your people take care of what they need to do, and then in turn they can take care of you. And that's going to dovetail into my second point of not using vacation time for personal business. Okay? So I know so many bosses out there. I need to run to the bank to sign, my new mortgage for my house, the renewal of my mortgage for our house. It's going to take about an hour. And I know of bosses who say, well, you need to put in an hour of vacation time for that. That's personal business. I don't care. Really? Really, 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 guys? Is that how you want to treat your people? Vacation time is for vacations, not personal business. Okay? Think about it. Allow your people to do personal business without using vacation time. Repairman shows up, dishwasher goes down. Okay, what time's the repairman go in there? What do they always do? Yeah, a window between 9 and 11. So that pretty well writes off your morning, right? I know so many people that are forced to take not a morning off, but a complete day off based off of their vacation system for that. So allow your people to take care of this business without using vacation time so that they can take care of themselves and then come back. And one thing which I'll guarantee you, they'll actually work harder for you, right? When time comes push to shove, and I said this in previous podcasts, and people need to work a bit later, if you've shown them this flexibility in the past, they'll turn around and give it back when you need it. Another way to instill a balance in your organization is by incorporating the families into work functions and the work culture. I think this is slowly getting better and better throughout various organizations, and And before, we seen it, long in the past when work was work, family was family, and that was it. And there was no mixing of the two. However, this day and age, we're starting seeing more of families being brought into work functions, cultures, so on and so forth. So feel free to bring them in. Look at various work opportunities, functions, bring your children to school day, open house, so that people can, your spouse, your family can come, see what you do, see what everybody else does, see what the organization does. Major events, if there are major events, if there's awards being given out, promotions being done, make an event so that the family can come and help recognize the achievements of their people, of their family members. Okay? Look for ways to incorporate the family into your work function, and then build the culture around it. And what you're going to see is people will actually want to stay within your organization more so than looking to leave. The fourth and final way to instill a work-life balance in your organization is by setting realistic expectations and deadlines. Okay? Because one of the ways in which you're going to quickly throw things out of balance is if you start demanding things on an unrealistic platform, i.e., you want this large report done and you need it done tomorrow, and you're telling your people at like 3 p.m. So guess what's going to happen? They're going to be working until God knows what time, 10, 11 o'clock at night, away from their families. You need to set realistic expectations for yourself and deadlines for your people. Okay? And you also need to enable your people to question the amount of time that you've given them to finish the product that you want. Because keep in mind, the least amount of time that you give them, the higher likelihood that a polished product is what you're going to get. Right? Now, too much time can do the exact same thing. So you gotta find that balance. But not enough will more likely have worse effects than too much time. So set realistic expectations. What do I actually expect? What do I actually need from them right now? Set a realistic deadline. Okay, is a couple hours enough to draft a 50-page document? Probably not, unless your system's completely automated and all someone's doing is hitting build report, print, stapling it, and handing it to you. Right? So think about these things. Right? How much time? Ask your people. Alright, folks, this is what I need. How long, realistically, do you need to develop that for me? These are the types of conversations you have to have with your people. Voice walking in, demanding it, and then walking out. Because you're going to, in turn, throw their work-life balance out of whack because suddenly they're there until 11 p.m. They have to miss their daughter's dance recital, which means then their wife or husband is upset with them, so on and so forth. So those are the 4 different ways in which you can instill balance within your organization for your people. But your people are one aspect of the equation, right? You also have to find a way for a work-life balance for yourself. You need to be able to take some time, separate yourself from your organization so you get your downtime as well. So let's talk about those. And I got 3 of those as well. And believe it or not, the first one actually blows my mind, but there are people out there who have issues with this. And that is taking vacation time. I know people that have difficulties in taking their vacation time for the year. And it's not because their job is so stressful, they can't go away, they're only one, yada yada. It's just for whatever reason, they don't enjoy taking their vacation time. And that's throwing their life out of balance, in my point of view. You have to take your vacation time. You need your downtime to recharge your batteries, to get a clear picture of what's going on with your organization. And I've discussed this on a previous leadership thought video I did. And you also need, just to get away, clear your mind, get away from all the stressors of work so that you can come back and be refreshed. Second thing, in order for you to have a work-life balance, is put the phone away. This day and age, with all of our smartphones and our tablets and our computers, we are constantly being bombarded with work. Work continuously creeps into our work life. Work continuously creeps into our home life. The best way to do so is put your phone away. I have two phones. I have my personal phone and I have my work phone. When I get home in the evenings, late afternoons, early evenings, whatever, my work phone goes on the counter next to my fridge. And that's where it pretty well stays for the entire night. Why? Because if it's something that important, my work has my personal number and they'll call me on that should my attention be required right away. Do I check my work phone occasionally in the evenings? Occasionally. But simply all I do is walk by it, hit a button, see if there's any emails. Nope, walk away. I'll pick it up and I'll start going through my calendar for tomorrow, etc., etc. I leave it there. That's what happens in the evenings during the workday, and that's pretty well what happens during weekends as well, when I'm not working. If I'm going out of town for an extended period of time, on a week, if I'm going away for the weekend or something, I will bring it with me, but still the same principle applies. I put it somewhere where I'm not going to be looking at it. If I see it, I'll swing by, have a quick peek, see if there's any emails, see if there's any traffic. Nope. And then walk away from it. And then the final way for yourself to strike a balance. Is occasionally using work time for your personal stuff. Just like I talked about with your people in, flexible hours, and as well as not using vacation time for personal business. Occasionally use some work time for yourself. Maybe it's not necessarily for an appointment, but maybe you just need to get away for an hour or so. Clear your mind so that you're not going to be bringing these issues at home. Maybe it is to take an hour away from work time to go to the gym to get some physical activity in, because that either relaxes you, gets you steady, etc., which again has benefits for back home and allows you to separate work and home life, okay? Or even if you do have those personal appointments that you need to take care of, such as going to the bank or the repairman showing up, getting your car's oil changed, etc. If you can do those things and that in turn helps you out, then take a small advantage of it, all right? So I hope you've enjoyed the tips today. As a quick summary, how to keep a work-life balance. 4 ways for your people. Again, allow them flexible hours. Don't force them to take vacation time for personal business. Incorporate families into work functions and the culture. And then finally, set realistic expectation and deadlines for them. If you follow those 4 tips, which you can incorporate right now even, you'll see a great increase in the separation between work and life, or equal balance amongst them. But don't forget about yourself. Don't forget to take your vacation time. Don't forget to put your phone away. And finally, don't forget occasionally to take some work time for personal business, just like you're allowing your people to do so for themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, if you follow those tips, you incorporate them in today, you're going to see a huge increase in your work-life balance. For not only yourself, but your people, your organization, and in the end, greater productivity, which equals better results for the organization you're leading. If you like these tips, feel free to let me know, just like as I said before. That's all I have today, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, keep pushing, keep trying, and keep moving forward. Take care now.